Hello there. Today I am going to show you how to make some clouds. This is the first one, and this is how the second one looks. I always leave a really long tail because these are appliques that are going to be sewn onto another item. Okay, so I've got two different shaped clouds, and these are what I'm going to do in today's tutorial. And you can use them on hats, blankets, anything that you want to make. But I'm specifically doing them today because I have a demand for them to go on a bucket hat. So this is the bucket hat, and I have the basic bucket hat video tutorial up separately, which I will link in the comments below, okay? This hat I make, and I use it for the clouds, and I also use it for my flower applique, which is another tutorial. I'm going to put all the links in the comments below. There's a description below. So for my cloud, I'm using a 5mm hook, a number 4 worsted weight yarn, which is just in my stash, and of course, you're going to need a yarn needle to sew them onto whatever item you are making. So I'm going to start with a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go and finish my 12. And for the first cloud, we are going to double crochet into the second chain from the hook, which is not the chain that's on the hook, and it's not the first chain, it's the second chain. And I'm going to wrap my yarn over and put my hook through the second chain, and I'm going to make a double crochet, okay? And then after that, we are going to do a double crochet into each of the next 9 chains, okay? So here we go. 1, go into the next chain, 2, and into the next chain, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see how I feed it through my fingers like this? So my chains are always facing up. 7, 8, and 9. And now we should have an extra stitch at the end. And that extra stitch, we are going to put 2 double crochets into that last stitch, okay? 1, and 2 into the same last stitch. I'm just going to drop my camera down because I'm holding it up so you can see. So now we've done those 2 double crochets in the last stitch. We are turning our work over like this, and we are, instead of turning our work like we normally do and we're working back over there, we have done these 2 double crochets in the last stitch, and we are turning this way. We finished here, and we are flipping it right over, and we are going to work on the other side of the chain, okay? Not into the stitches we've just made, but into the other side of the chain. So we are going to do a double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches on the other side of the chain. So we have to find the end of the chain, which is here, okay? And that's the stitch. This is the stitch the chain that we just did the 2 double crochets in. So we can work into the back of that, okay? We'll start with 1. Oops. Sorry, start with 1. A double crochet into that one. And then we're going to go into the next one, which is right here. And then we're going to go, see how we've got these chains, right? This is a stitch we went into. So we're sort of going into the flip side of that stitch. So we've done 2. This is 3. And here's the next one. There's the other double crochet we did. And then we're going in here. Oh, so got to put my yarn over first. 4. And then we're going to go 5 into the next one. And then we're going to do our number 6 into this hole right there at the base of the other double crochet. So let's just make sure we've got our 6. Done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch. And we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And then we're going to turn our work how we normally turn our work, okay? And then we are going to chain 1, and we are going to slip stitch into each of the first 2 stitches. That's this one and this one. And then we are going to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and we are going to turn our work, and we're going to chain 1, and we are going to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And slip stitch into the next stitch. And fasten it off with a long tail. Pull that tail through. And this is our cloud. Okay. Now we're going to do cloud number 2. For our second cloud, we're going to start with 12, chaining 12 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we are going to double crochet into the second chain from the hook and all the way down. Okay, so we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. And we're going to double crochet into each stitch going down here. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the work. So I've turned my work, I've chained 1, and now we're going to do 4 double crochets, 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to do 2 half double crochets. So that's where you go through all 3 of them like that. So we're doing 2 half double crochets and then 2 single crochets. And then we're going to turn our work. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the first stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to skip the first one, and we're going to slip stitch into each of the next 2. So that's the one slip stitch. That's 2 slip stitches, okay? And then we are going to do a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to slip stitch into the same stitch as our last double crochet. So that means into that same stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. Then we're going to leave a really long tail, cut it, and pull it through. And that is our second cloud. Okay, so we've got 2 separate clouds, and I'm going to put a link below into the pattern for my bucket hat, the basic bucket hat, which these were designed for. And I'll also put a link below into the flower applique if you're interested in looking at another applique, okay? And this is what it looks like when I've put them onto my bucket hat. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like to check out my other videos. And good luck and happy crocheting.